Hey, are you ready to help me make a mask? What's going on, kitty? Hi there, baby. You're in my way. Cats love sewing. Here we go. We're going to make a mask. Hey, I do not know how YouTube people videotape their stuff nicely so that everything can show, but let's give it a try. So I've actually now been through several different several different versions of masks. Most of them, I'd say, inspired by the Sweet Red Poppy designs. The first one was just a 2-layer mask. I didn't have elastic, so I was using thin ponytail holders for the ears. And when I do have ponytail holders, when I cut them, they're about maybe 5 inches long, as opposed to the 7 that I would use if I had elastic. And they're a little tight and a little uncomfortable unless you got a tiny head. So I would say, although all the designs are based on a 9x7, if you're using ponytail holders, you might go with 10x7. Just make the fabric part a little bit wider so it gives a little bit more leeway for the short elastic. But this was just a two-layer mask. Simple, easy to make. I did put some wire in the nose to help shape it. But then my son didn't like my 1980s, my mom's old bed sheets, and wanted it to look cooler with a bandana. But I could practically see right through that bandana, and I thought, well, that doesn't seem very protective. Just seems too loose weaved to do it. So I looked at another one of Sweet Red Poppy's designs that had a pocket for a filter, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I don't know what filter to use. Don't know where to get them, but if I happen to get one, I'd be nice to have the option to put it in. And this one has an opening right here in the middle of the side that faces your face where you can slide a filter in. But I realized that without a filter, when you put the mask on, it actually gapes open, and the only thing then stopping germs is one piece of fabric. And is this recording? It is. And I didn't like that. So I've actually sewed those shut. I used a different color thread. So it'll be obvious if we happen to come up with something for filters, I can just use a seam ripper, pick that part open, and then my pocket's there for my filter. But I decided to redesign it. And this one has a pocket in the bottom. So it's still 3 layers. It's got the nose wire at the top. The bottom inner layer opens up. You could slide a filter in there, actually much easier than when it opened from the side. And then when it's on your face, there's no danger of that filter dropping out. So this is what I end up going with. So that's what I'm gonna make right now. So I do need 3 pieces of 9x7 cloth. And this is a bed sheet, probably from, I don't know, 70s or 80s my mom had. So I went over to her house and I picked up a bunch of sheets without getting anywhere near her where I could contaminate my mom. And I'm just going to cut out 3 pieces. And this is a good video for people who are not professional sewers and don't really know what they're doing, because this is more like the winging it category of sewing. And most people I know, they're like, oh, I can't sew, you can sew. They all think I'm really good at sewing. I'm not. I'm just willing to try, and I'm not too fussy when things go wrong or not perfect. You know, whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect. So if you don't know how to sew, this is the perfect video for camaraderie with somebody else who doesn't know how to sew but are just kind of faking it. So we're gonna fake it and make some masks. And I've made quite a few already, but this is the design I think I like the best in the end. Okay, so I've got my 3 pieces here. So first I'm gonna get the pocket ready. I'm gonna take one of these, figure out which is the front and which is the back, which on this fabric is not necessarily too obvious. I think if I made a mistake, it would be totally fine. So I'm just oh, I forgot one piece. going to cut off about a 1/2 inch of the long side. Okay, so I got that cut off. Now I'm going to hem it. So I'm going to fold it under towards the wrong side of the fabric and then fold it over again. That's about 1/4 inch. And just pin it. And then pin it again. And again, you don't have to be a professional. You just have to be willing to try. And this is not high fashion. It's a mask, for heaven's sake. So it doesn't have to be that great. If I wanted to look good, I wouldn't be using 1980 sheets. But everything I'm using to make my masks, I had in the house. Well, I had to go borrow my mom's sheets, but ponytail holders. The elastic I actually found in the cupboard from who knows what project. Thank goodness. The elastic actually is far more comfortable. If you can get elastic, you're better off. If you can't get elastic, the ponytail holders will do. And there's a trick I'll try and remember to say at the end about the ponytail holders. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew that hem in place. I don't have to backstitch or anything because the raw edge is going to get caught in the sides of the mask anyway. Don't sew over your needles because you don't want to chip your sewing machine needle. That was close. I mean, don't sew over your pins. I suppose I should use the right terminology. Okay, so there's the hem of the pocket, and then I'm going to take a second layer of fabric. Again, figure out which side is the right side. I think that's the right side. Right side up, and I'm going to line up the bottom edges. So here's the pocket, also right. Is that right side up? That's not right side up. Here's the pocket, right side up. Okay, I'm going to line that up. If you were a good seamstress, you'd probably pin everything in place. Too much time. I'm just going to kind of hold it in place. We're not doing rocket science here. And about, I don't know what that is, 3/8, 1/2 inch, somewhere around then. There's some lines here on your sewing machine that can keep you in line. I don't see that well. I can't see what those lines say. So I'm just going to sew. Now, what I'm doing actually is making a tiny little sleeve for the nose wire to go into. And I found it's much easier to get in if you don't start sewing at the very beginning. Leave a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to start about 1/2 inch in, and I'm going to go inside toward the center of the fabric by about 1/4 inch from the original sewing line that I just made. And again, I'm going to start about 1/2 inch forward. And I'm going to end about 1/2 inch before I got to the end. That lets you fold the fabric a little bit, and it helps you get your piece of wire in. I'm using what they call these days chenille stems. When I was in school, we called them pipe cleaners. In school, they asked us to bring these chenille stems in. I was like, well, I had to Google it. I'm like, what the heck is a chenille stem? So by not going all the way to the end, you can kind of get the fabric open, and you can tuck this in so much easier than if you did that, if you sewed all the way to the end. And I'm just going to wing it about, I really need a YouTube channel called Winging It, but I bet that's already out there. About midway through, and then so it doesn't shift back and forth in the laundry, I'm just going to sew the sides right next to it so it cannot move back and forth. It's where I want it. I'm going to lock it in place. then same thing on the other side. Forward and then backwards. All right, cool. Got it. And then just trim off my extra threads. All right, so now we have the pocket on, the pocket hemmed, the nose wire in place. That helps shape the nose to your face. I think it minimizes gaps, and it's supposed to help with fogging if you have glasses as well. Okay, so now we need to put the whole thing together, right sides together. So the pocket piece, that's the right sides. And then, so right side up, and then the second piece, I think this way, right side down. All right, so again, if you want to keep it all lined up perfectly, you will want to pin this in place. I'm not going to bother. Okay, I can feel the nose wire down here. So this is the top, this is the bottom. I'm going to start at the bottom, kind of around a third of the way over. I'm going to sew all the way around, and I'm going to leave about a 3-inch gap at the bottom edge, and that's to turn the whole thing around. Okay, so start about right there, maybe about a 1/2-inch seam, and just wing it. And I am going to back stitch a little bit because when I'm turning it, I don't want it to start ripping the seams apart. So I'm going to go forward a couple stitches, backwards, and then forward to the ends. Not all the way to the end, like stop, like half inch before. Needle down, put your needle down to make your turn. Now, before I proceed, I'm going to need to put the elastic in. Now, normally I would do a 7-inch piece of elastic. This is the end of my elastic. It's the end. So this one is about 6 1/4 inches. So it might be a little tight, or maybe a smaller face person can wear it. So I'm just going to stick that between the two, almost to where my needle is. So it's real close to that seam. Now I'm going to sew forward, and then I'm going to back all the way over that elastic, and then forward again. I'm going to make sure the fabric stays lined up. Make sure my pocket's lined up. Okay. Again, pin it would be ideal. I don't pin. I'm stopping about 2 inches before the end. And I'm going to duck inside and get that elastic, the other end of it, and kind of get it in place just before you can see where the 1/2-inch seam is. So just a little bit inwards of that. And then I'm gonna sew over it. And then back. And then forward again. All right, now this is the side with the nose wire. I want the nose wire to be inside of this seam I'm making. So as I line this up, I keep my finger on the wire and I make sure I'm sewing on this side of it. I think I might have hit it. There we go. All right, so another piece of elastic. Same thing as before. Gonna tuck that up in there. Oh, by the way, here's my mistake the first time. I'm like, oh, the elastic comes out, right? So I'll sew it like this, right? Wrong. Don't do that. Don't imagine how the elastic is going to be when it's all done. It's got to go opposite. So we're actually pointing the elastic in towards this. So it's lining up with the edge and it's going in to the mask. Does not stick out of the mask. It only is out after you turn everything inside out. I'm stopping about 2 inches again from the end, reaching in, finding the elastic, putting it at about probably 1 inch from the end, holding everything in place with my fingers. Back up over it, go forward. And then don't close the whole thing or you'll be picking out your stitches. We gotta have room to turn things inside out, so I'm leaving about a 3-inch gap. And then back stitching over it. All right. So here's where I clean up some of my threads. All right, and then I do want to reduce bulk in the corners, so I want to clip these. It's very easy to cut off your thread. You don't want to do that or the whole thing will start coming apart. So I'm covering up the corner of the thread with my fingernail just to protect it, and then I'm cutting past the end of my fingernail. Obviously, I don't want to cut my fingernail off either, so, you know, don't cut your fingers. All right. So, got those corners off. All right, time to turn it. Now, inside here we have the pocket. So you could flip it one side of the pocket or you could flip it the other side of the pocket. What we want to do is take a peek in and look for the elastic, because if I go this way, oh, I did find the elastic. Oh, the elastic, no, I think the elastic's on the other side. Hold on. I think I was looking through let me see. Yeah. There's the elastic. You want to make sure you're flipping to the elastic side. Otherwise, you'll open it up and be like, where's my elastic? Because the pocket will be inside out. So there we go. And then we just want to use the elastic to pull the corners out. And then you can also take your scissors inside and just kind of gently poke the corner. If you have pointy scissors, don't use them. Don't push too hard. You can actually ram your scissors right through your corner, and then you'll be doing some repair work. So I'm just kind of poking my corners out square. It's no huge deal if you don't. Okay, so this is the top with the nose wire. This is the bottom with the pocket. The pocket side is what goes up against your face. The remaining piece is to pleat it, because it's kind of supposed to be like this. And then you put it on. All the instructions have you ironing it, which is a great idea. Ironing helps sewing. I hate ironing and I'm terrible at ironing. And I get done with ironing and nothing looks ironed. So I've given up on it, and instead of ironing, I'm just marking this with chalk. So I've got the pocket side up, and I'm kind of figuring out where middle is, and I'm marking it with some sidewalk chalk on both sides, and then about halfway and then halfway again. Okay, so I'm using these marks as some general guides. So for my first pleat, I have my nose wire at the top. This is the side that's going to go against my face. There's the pocket. And I'm grabbing this first chalk mark and folding right on the chalk mark. And then, so I'm pinching about a finger's worth of fabric, and I'm just rolling it up. And then I look at the other side to make sure it's straight. It's important because I have lines and it's really obvious if I'm not. And I'm kind of holding the whole thing in place while I pin it. Now there's most people on the internet who obviously know what they're doing. They do all one side and then they do all the other side. I can tell it's either my lack of skill or it's the striped fabric. That doesn't work. The stripes are going to be so all over the place when you get done. Okay, so then I'm doing the other one. Now, I'm this one, because I kind of tend to run out of room. I don't know why. I'm not so much doing the same thing as I did before. I'm going kind of between the two marks and pinching and folding up. Then I check the other side. Oh, that's the other one. That's too much. That's better. Okay. And because of the pocket, you have to be a little more flexible here with the pleats. Because the first one I did, I don't know which one it is. See if I can figure it out. Wasn't that one? Nope. Yeah, this one. I did the pleats without paying attention to the pocket, and my pocket edge got folded upward and caught in a pleat. It works fine. It's just kind of irritating because that's obviously an error. So you have to watch out for your pocket because you don't want it, like, see if I grab my pocket and twist it up, that pocket's going to get sewn with this edge facing up, so it's kind of like rolled. So what I want to do is make sure when I'm doing this pleat that I keep my pocket edge facing down. I want it to be facing the bottom of the mask. So I only do this tiny pleat that's got the pocket facing down. Okay. Alright, now I do have an alternative to this. And what happens is you have a lot of fabric and it's not pleated up as much as it could have been. So I kind of just do an extra little pleat at the bottom. And you kind of have to work with your elastic so you know your elastic doesn't get too goofy. Okay, and that's just, it's more like a random pleating job. There's a complete alternative to this. If instead, is this the one? If you do your pleats upside down, problem solved. It's easy. You just do the pleats as normal. This one, no, not this one. That's this one. This one here, if I look at the top from the front, all my pleats are folded up. That's not, oh, I'm not showing you this. If I look at this one here, this one I did differently. I put pocket side facing up, but I put the pocket at the top. So I had the nose piece at the down and I folded all my pleats upward. That means when you wear it, the pleats are folded upward on your face. It's non-standard. It's the opposite of what most people would do. But it completely solves the problem of the pocket getting messed up. So up to you. You can put all your pleats backwards so when you're wearing it, they fold up. By the time you wear your mask, it's not really noticeable. Or you just kind of take some extra care here just to make sure that your pocket edge doesn't get rolled upwards. You want it to be facing down. So that's that. And then, so then the next step is to just stitch all the way around. You don't want to get your pins, again, caught in your needle. So be careful. And I've got another needle right there. Ooh, that one's a little trickier. Ooh, let me lower my needle and lift the foot. There we go. All right. This is the bottom. Depending on where you start, you'll run into the bottom that's open at some point. Just kind of squeeze it in place, and we're just going to sew it shut with this top stitch. Pulling that pin out. Oop. My pleat came undone here because I had to take the needle out, so I'm just gonna fold it in with these little pliers. Now this is my top edge. I just want to go along the top of the wire pocket, just on top of the stitching that's already there. Some pins in there. They were out of the way of the stitching, so I didn't bother to pull them out. All right, and then we just want to clip away our extra threads. And here it is. There's the top with the wire. It's going to go this way. Here's the pocket. You know, facing down, didn't get rolled upwards. It's looking good. That's what it looks like from the outside. And there we have it. So if I figure out what filter to use, I'll put a filter in it. Okay, so if you have hair bands, like hair ponytail holders for your elastic, and it's just too tight and it's bothersome, or like my elastic I just finished was not long enough, get a piece of ribbon. I have acetate homecoming mom ribbon. It's not ideal. Cloth ribbon would be better. But what you can do is you can put the ribbon through and then use that to tie behind your head. So what I'll do is put this on. And then I've got the ribbon holding the elastics, and I just need to tie it. There. There. So now it's not tugging on my ears. So if you can't get 7-inch elastic, and you have ponytail holders, or like I did, you just ran out of elastic and had to use a couple inches too short, using a ribbon to tie it around the back of your head is a good solution. All right. Stay safe out there. Keep everybody else safe. And wear your masks. Bye-bye.